So this cost report isn't one of the best, and it's not one of the worst.
It's the only one we had on us.
Yeah, exactly. It's the only one we have at the moment. But you can see, just looking at the size of the paper, the amount of detail that the teams have got into. Just simple things like separating all the different subsystems, these identifying marks make it easier when they have to refer to each subsystem. Got a table of contents at the start, a cost summary, similar to what we have. A bit of material at the front. And this year, sustainability was one part of it, so that's the question we asked. And what they've done here is they've calculated from the weight of their vehicle. There's again standard lookup tables. So it says their powertrain is 65 kilograms. They've got a specific energy. So that's the amount of energy. Is that the manufacturing, the specific one? So in the manufacturing of the powertrain, that's the rating, the specific, and then the daily use or the output, that's the output of carbon. So some of the compromises, if you have a lighter powertrain, then you have less specific energy. If you have a gasoline powertrain, you probably have CO2 output. Whereas if you had an electric powertrain, like some of the teams are now starting to have, their specific energy is higher, but the offset is that the CO2 is much lower. So that's another area. So this is their braking system. And you can see they've got, this isn't one of the best teams, they've just got CAD data of their designs, and some of the others have a proper two-dimensional scales, engineering drawing.
So that's something you prefer?
That really is.
Yeah. One thing to point out, it's not all about the thickness, it's more about the accuracy. It's making sure you've got everything in there.
Right.
So even this team was missing 3 or 4 of the things we asked to see, it wasn't in there.
Right.
So although it looks quite impressive, it's not on the best scoring. Just because we've got ones that are half as thick as that, but they've got a lot more points because they've actually got everything in there.
Okay, so this is the brake discs, and on this sheet it just shows the total for the 4 brake discs. And this is what I mentioned earlier, so they've selected steel, so the brake discs were made of steel. That's the cost per kilogram, and it's shown on these standard cost tables. So they're saying they've used, to produce 4 of them, they've used 3 kilograms of steel. And in the manufacturing process, they've decided to use a laser cutting process to cut it from sheet steel, and then machining of other parts. So you can see the build-up of the cost as you go through. And then they've done other items under the brakes. They've done similar, and I think you've done similar. But the way that they've laid it out, so it's very clear to see,
and it's for almost every single component, every small bracket can be found.
Every nut and bolt.
Yeah, every nut, every bolt.
One thing some of the top teams have still even forgotten is like the fixtures and jigs. So if you're welding a few parts together, you might use a fixture. It's important to capture all the tooling costs as well. And again, them numbers can be taken off the tables. The standard numbers for like a welding fixture, it's like $500. So if you know you need 20 of them, literally $500, 20 of them, that's cost.
Divided by the volume. So one of the other points we mentioned earlier was for your engine, your rating is $2 per 100 cc. So they've shown there, and it's all written. It's just clear, easy for anyone, whether they know the cost or not, to pick it up and say, okay, that's what comes from the cost table. That's the cost per measurement. And they've got 599 cc's, so that multiplied by that gives you the total. And then this team didn't have properly dimension this one. So I mean that's ideal. That level of drawing would be perfect, and any cost judging team would be really happy to see that, and you'd gain more marks from having that level of detail.
It's probably stuff you've already got, so you must have it to make parts.
And then a lot of their parts, they just have the CAD drawings. But even this is good because they can reference this part back to the cost. So if you find the differential mount in the cost table bit, you can then see, okay, yeah, it's a cast part or it's a machine part, and you can fully understand the process.
Another point is all these individual parts, they may go into an assembly. One large, which may require special tools or special jigs or fixtures to assemble them, and that should also be covered in your cost.
Yeah. So as Jason was saying, on the frame and body, they had a tubular frame. So obviously when you prepare it, you have a tube, they've got the machining set up, they should have end finishing, they should have cleaned the ends first, so it's clean for when you weld it. They've got laser cuttings cut to the right shape to butt up to the other tube, and then they've got the welding. And again, just all the units are broken out and the quantities, and it brings you a subtotal at the end. Jason was saying that when you weld frame together, you need some sort of fixture to hold the tubing in the right place so you get repeatability. And that's calculated. So the actual cost is $500 from standard cost sheet, $500 per fixture, the quantity that they use, and then it's assuming that 3,000 vehicles are built, so that 500 gets divided by 3,000, so you apportion some of that to every vehicle that you build. And the reason that it's done is just to try and relate the actual this cost folder to if you was to prepare a cost report in real life, and if you was to go, so if you as a supplier going to an OEM manufacturer, you can say, this is how I build up my cost, in a kind of clear and concise and easy to follow way. And I think like that format and that approach has just been followed throughout every team.
So the other main thing, apart from making sure the folder's good, is there's quite a lot of points in the two presentations. So you have to make sure you read what's required for this cost judging. Make sure you cover the points because they're really easy points. Just basically explaining how you'd make a brake disc if you had 100,000 to make. So obviously the process is slightly different to making it before. So it wasn't anything that, you guys could do it easy. It took a little bit of time to prepare, but it's easy marks really. Some of the other teams haven't done it, you're not the only ones. I think you're the 3rd out of 8 teams you've had that haven't done it. But it's easy marks. There's no particular right or wrong. You just mention the key points. You get marks all the time.
I remember in your one either, but part numbering as well. There's easy marks to be had for following the set layout for part numbering. So see, this is quite a simple point or 2 points here. Following this example, formula student, the year, your car number. In this case, ST stands for steering. That's the base part number. Then there's your suffix, just for if there's updates in Mark version 2 or
it's easy mark there. I know we've gone through that fairly quickly. Did you have any questions or other points?
Not really. I didn't get the mark number. Where do we?
should have been in. Is it in the initial?
No, yeah, I think we've been doing
Have you done it?
Yeah, but we should probably follow the
Yeah, so that's the part. on the right lines, you've got a part number that you probably understand the reference. The Formula student are asking you to use their format, so that every car is standard. Yeah. So it's probably a case of going back, looking. I know it's your first year; it's a steep learning curve, I think, in every different discipline. But it's just a case of you've been here, you've been to some of the static events now, and it's going to be a steep learning curve all year. But it really is looking at the requirements in the task. I know there's a lot of reading and a lot of requirements to go through, but I think, or hopefully, we've pointed out some areas that are fairly easy, a standard way to work. Hopefully, like, if you did those things, you could dramatically improve.
Hopefully, we'll see you next year. We'll have some more.
Much better, yeah.
And you can contact, there's a couple of contacts for the course judges available on the website. So if you do have any concerns or any questions, like, you can drop the guy an email or phone him up and say, I don't really know what to do with this particular thing. And I'm sure the guy will take some time out and give you some advice and try and help you as much as possible. Sure. So if you do have any questions, just ask.